In 2002, Sarbanes Oxley legislation was passed in response to Enron and other financial reporting issues that came up in 2001. Most people know, at least, that this legislation increased personal liability that chief financial officers can face if they are not more aware of internal controls. But what you may not know is that this legislation also addressed Excel data integrity issues. For example, one company had an error because of a minus sign being left out of an equation that caused an error in the magnitude of $2.6 billion. Many errors are within formulas and calculations, and the crucial thing to learn around this are what can go wrong and decide how you want to go about reducing these risks. It might be surprising to you that software systems today often do not do all of the number crunching that a company or department needs to make financial decisions. Now, if you think about an accounts payable system, for example, often those software programs are really good at reducing error. When programmers develop software, they go through a procedure of defining requirements, developing the tool, and then testing it to make sure it works properly, given all kinds of business scenarios. However, when we develop Excel spreadsheets, we often do not go through all these steps. This is the beauty of Excel. We can do ad hoc analysis and reporting fairly quick, but this is also the incredible risk you can have by not having a disciplined approach to development of spreadsheets, especially those that can have a material effect on financial statements if the spreadsheet data is wrong when reported. Now, it is also important to note that a spreadsheet of sale quantities could also affect financials, even if there are no dollar values in the spreadsheet. If you provide any kind of activity data like sales that accountants could eventually apply dollars to, your spreadsheet should have controls over it to ensure the validity and integrity of the data, especially if it's eventually reported to external groups. Thus, you have to think about two things in the design of spreadsheets that impact your financials. You must think about ways to prevent errors and how you can detect errors. Preventive controls can include several different things. One is you want to establish spreadsheet instructions and policies. For example, how often will the design be reviewed? Another approach you can take is to have version controls anytime you go through any changes to the spreadsheet so that you have a working old file while you are making a new change. This way, you have not lost a good functioning file. It is always a good idea to test spreadsheets and make sure that data is flowing and calculating correctly, and any changes should be tracked in a change control log, and any reviews should be done by someone other than the person who uses the spreadsheet most often. All of this requires solid training for your staff. Detective controls are those items that actually affect the design of the spreadsheet. You can ask yourself, what is the approach we want to take to designing spreadsheets? There are basic things you can do that if you train users on these important facets of design, you can reduce your risk. For example, do you have control tools to check data input? Can you keep data input separate from formulas? Can you identify constants and only enter them once? Password protection is another way to make sure that your data is protected, and you can password protect the file itself, or you can pick which cells to protect inside the file. Excel has tools and functions that can assist in preparing a solid design approach to spreadsheets. Things like passwords and data validation can be very useful depending on your needs. I will go into more detail on some of these in other more detailed videos about how to use these in conjunction with preventive and detective controls. Finally, at any level of the organization, whether you are a manager or not, taking this aspect of your work seriously can save embarrassment, possible fines, or even prison time. I've seen a few people in my career that could have been named as accessories to crimes or should have had knowledge of what was happening around them with financial data. So please do learn how you can manage Excel to reduce your risk. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to sharing more detailed information on Excel tools in future videos.